Well, hello. Welcome to Talk It Out, Talk It Out, Talk It Out. Your guy, pal Cassie here. So I'm from home again. It just gets easier to just step outside and jump on live. So that's just kind of what I'm doing. Dogs are running around crazy, so they'll probably interrupt. Hoping everybody is good. So I've been listening to, go figure, Mel Robbins this week and some of her podcasts, and just some things that I think, several people have called it this. I think recently, though, it was April Norman who had stated, I love those God winks. And I just feel like I'm getting a lot of those God winks lately. And so I just kind of want to just basically talk about what I've been listening to throughout the week and just kind of sharing that information with you guys for those who may not be listening to that. I think recently I had shared a recent podcast by Mel that my cousin Kristen had sent to me and said, this is like perfect. And so I've listened to it twice and it's just ideal with what I feel like I'm trying to do. So hopefully you guys have had a chance to watch that. And if not, highly recommend to do so. People still ask me to, still kind of working on some phrases, and what Talk It Out's about. And hopefully it's just when I do have guests on here that it's real talk and just a real impact to others. Again, I was not one to listen to podcasts or listen to audibles, and now I'm like, I'm stuck on them. And just about, that's all I listen to. Hey, Cindy Jones Laird. So today I'm going to, I think I may have posted this, so forgive me, but I'm going to read it, about what if. What if today is the day everything changes? What if the dream you've been holding on to is closer than you think? And all it takes is one more step, one more try, one more moment of belief. What if isn't something to fear? It's the spark of possibility, the doorway to a life you haven't lived yet. It invites you to imagine beyond your limits, to trade comfort for courage, and to believe that the best version of your story is still unfolding, which is crazy to me. So lean into the unknown, because what if it's exactly where you were meant to be? And so the podcast that I recommend you guys watch is with Jay Shetty, which is another one that I've always liked. I just didn't really realize how much I did until I really listened to him with Mel. And it's about finding your purpose. And so, like I said, I've had a lot of God winks lately, kind of keeping track of those. When we first started talking about doing a podcast or whatever, I wrote down some goals. And so I actually went back and looked at those goals the other day just to see, because it's been a year and a half, I guess, or close to it, I guess our first episode was in January, so a little over a year, that, I had written these things down. And so I just went back and read them, and kind of been holding myself accountable. Things may be happening sooner than later, and, that's kind of exciting. So that the whole what if is just really what I'm hanging on to right now. Who knows how much time we have left on this earth, right? So, really try to not take things for granted. I know I'm not a perfect person by any means. I have my faults. I fight my own battles every single day, fighting one right now of just even being able to come on here and talk today. But I'm here, I'm doing it. And so that's good. But there were 5 things that he had pointed out, to kind of work towards success, I guess. And one is you've got to learn. So I really feel like lately, one of my phrases is invest in yourself. And I feel like I've been trying to do that because, I do want to become a better person, and I want to share my passion, my joy, my whatever with others out there, that hopefully it hits you guys just as much as it does me. All it takes is one person, and that's all I really, want to impact many, of course, but hopefully at least one is what I'm able to do. So you learn, and then you experiment, have fun with it, right? So that's kind of what I've been doing, what we've been doing for the past year and a half, ever since we decided to come up with this fun little gig of ours. And so I am experimenting. I say many times, like, I know I need to stop doing lives, because now those automatically at 30 days get deleted, which ticks me off. But I'm just not where I can, my husband's pulling in. I'm just not where I can trust recording and that everything is going to go smoothly for me to turn around and then post those, and that everything is going to stick. So, and then perform. So I've been doing that. Struggle, right? Struggled many times. Struggle often. So hopefully I'm learning from my struggles, though, and moving forward with that. And then just to continue with that drive and reflect. So that is currently what I am trying to do, making sure my dogs don't get hit. And so, another topic that they talked about was just like feeling like you're just stuck. And so there's many times I feel like I'm on top of the world. Everything's going great. Love it. And then boom, something happens and I just feel stuck again. And so, just some battles lately, for myself that I've been fighting. So, sorry. Just having some resistance. Sorry, dogs. Sorry. It's fun times. I can't see if you guys are making comments or not, so I apologize if you are. I can see that Valerie's watching, and Lori's watching, and Cindy's watching. He's sitting here, so he's good. But if you're making any comments, those are the things I can't see, so I apologize for that. Anyway, so, a lot of times before I get on here, or, there's many things I want to talk about. Like, there's things that have happened to me over my lifetime, good and, bad, that I want to share so much. But then, it's not just my story, it's other stories. And I don't know if it's necessarily things I can share. So I'm trying to work it out to where I'm able to just share my side and how it's affected me and how I've moved forward and done things. So that's just a work in progress for me. But I do feel like there are some things that have happened, that I need to be sharing with others. So, some things I have already shared, like I've shared Jeff's story from 2015. To me, that was my life-changing event for what happened with him and to my family, and still a story I share today. So funny story, though. So totally kind of off topic, but some of you may not know what Jeff's story is, but basically almost lost him back in 2015 to a freak little accident. And so, of course, I still, in my current position, use my story as my customer service story when I'm teaching customer service at work. And so I got this random text this week from Kevin Fear. Shout out Kevin Fear. He is the Airy Back guy, who randomly just messaged me and was like, hey, so am I crazy? You're going to think I'm crazy, but so Jeff's story, and of course he's had our permission to share it, which whatever, anybody can share it, I don't care. I mean, he may, but I don't. But Jeff, so he's like, so correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff's story, you guys were at a Mexican restaurant, and he was eating a chip and salsa, and the chip got stuck, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. I said he was eating a French fry. It was like a crispy French fry, and it got lodged and sliced his esophagus. And he said, well, funny story, that when he was telling the story earlier this week, the person's like, no, that's not what happened. It was asparagus or something like that. And so I just died laughing. Number one, there's more to that whole asparagus story that some people know about, some people don't. And so that's what like really cracked me up, because then he got to hear the asparagus story of what happened one night with asparagus and some chocolate martinis. And that's a fun story too. So anyway, it was just funny. And so him just randomly messaging me, and we just start messaging back and forth. And, you know, he's like, I'm so glad I reached out to you. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It just made my day to like tell this story and whatever. So anyway, it's just funny how stories happen. He's like, so if you ever hear a rumor of Jeff's incident happening from a chip and salsa, he said, well, that came from me, because for some reason, that's what I thought had happened to him. But it wasn't. It was a crispy French fry. But all is well. So anyways, totally off topic. Diesel. But anyway, so my story I have with Jeff, always love sharing that. One of the quotes that I had read from, I don't know if it was a comment or if an actual quote that Jay Shetty had said on his talk with Mel, but it said, motivation doesn't come from knowing where you're going. Motivation comes from knowing you don't want to be here anymore. Love it. So, you know, I'm sitting here. He talks about, you know, collecting those stories, and those stories, those things, those real life things are happening for a reason. And he said eventually, and I've said this many times before, what's funny is I've said this and then I listen to like their podcast and I think, oh, God, they're so like famous and whatever. And like they're saying and feeling the exact same thing I'm saying and feeling. And it's crazy, but it's really not. But it's just funny to know that like my feels, things that I feel, talk about, whatever, are like other people like Mel Robbins, who has the exact same thing. So anyway, it's just kind of cool to learn that. But he said someday your stories, they happen. And then later on, you're like, you start putting pieces together, like why you were put in this place at this time and that place at this time and where I'm at right now. And then you start connecting those dots and things happen, right? And so I truly believe that, probably get emotional, everything that's happened over the years is truly bringing me where I'm at. I've always felt strong in my faith, but not near as much as what I have now. I've been trying to do better with learning, and I have a ways to go. Say that all the time, I know. But I am, and I just feel good with where I'm at. And just some recent decisions that I've been making, I just like, it's time. And I am truly excited for that. So more to come with that. But so collecting and connecting. So I always say, when I do my training, when I do my training, I always say, like, of course, we have a PowerPoint that we have to go by and train people. I get it. It's a national thing. We've got to do it. But when it comes to customer service, like, to me, we learn best from each other. Hearing your stories. That's why I like to hear, I want people to come on here and tell their testimonies. If they've never told it before, like, bring it here. Let's share it. And if you have told it before, bring it here. Let's share it, because that's what I want to do. I want to share all of this, good, bad, ugly, to others, so that we can learn from each other. And that's just really my purpose right now. That's my goal, I guess, of what I'm doing. So collecting and connecting. Some stories I've written down that I want to talk about, you know, sometimes, and this is what I was just listening to, should have brought a tissue, yesterday, with Mel. She was talking about, you know, why do we have to wait until we're 62 to retire? Or why do we have to wait until or why is it when we're in our 20s, we must like find somebody and marry that person? Or why is it by this age we have to have these kids and this and that and whatever? Like, whose rules are those, right? So, go with your gut. Go with your gut. Whatever it's telling you, just go with it. If you see somebody and something's just striking you to just say something, go do it, because you never know what that impact is going to do to that person. And I truly try to stick with that wherever I go. If something truly jumps out at me, I want to let those people know what kind of impact they did to me just at that time, at that moment in time. So So stories I want to talk about, and I've said this before, I promise I will get through all of this at one point or another, but I'm talking about the difference between envy and jealousy. So I have stories with that, stories from like whenever I was in junior high school, those fun times. I have stories with that of where I always thought that I was really jealous versus being envy. And so Jay was talking about, I think it was Jay, was talking about envy is when it's just two people. Jealousy is when it's three or more. And so I sit and think about times that really I was envy of several people. And I'll be telling on myself on here. So not today, but I will be. Envy of people. And gosh, really all that. It's just an excuse to not do or feel like I can't do because of somebody else doing something. So I want to talk about that at some point. I want to talk about how college gets pushed on kids. Like, that's always the first thing. So as soon as you graduate, where are you going to go to college? Who says we're going to go to college? Maybe somebody wants to take a break. Is there anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. I'm all about, if you've got good work ethic, like, bring it on. Like that. Come on, Diesel. Come on. It's not for everybody. Now, would I recommend to maybe get your generals out of the way, get your, like I did, I got Associates of Arts, got that at John A. Logan, and it was fine, but I got that done. But that's just, I still didn't know what I want to do or whatever. And at that time I was, working at Shawnee Health Service. I was working at Carterville Family Practice. I've worked at Murfreesboro Health Center. Like, there's different places. So I was always stayed in the healthcare field, but still never really knew what I wanted to do. But I liked what I was doing, and I was working full time, and I was bringing in money, and it was nice to just be able to go off that. And is there anything wrong with that? And I say absolutely not, because we have to understand that sometimes it's just not for everybody. So I really want to jump into that one time. I've said before, I've got a story with Nicole Aurelioso and myself. I still tell her that we could take our story on the road and share our story with how we became, coworkers, her being my supervisor. And then through that time frame, we became friends, and, we just still have a story. She shares the story with people that she has come in touch with at the VA, and vice versa. I do the same thing. So I just really think that we could take our story and just share it with people and influence for the good with it. Which then brings me to my VA career and how long, how I've been able to grow through that over the past almost 29 years of being with the VA. And then one of the last things, I know I'm kind of like all over, and I apologize, that's just how I roll, but one of the last things I do have on here is just to make sure when you do things for others that you just don't expect anything in return. Sometimes that's hard, because sometimes you feel like you're just doing, and nothing happens back. And you know what? The time's going to come when you least expect it. So I hope that when you do things, you're doing it because you want to do it, not because you feel like you have to do it, but because you want to, and that you are not going to expect anything back in return. I thought I had another quote. Yes. Another quote that Jay had said, two things. One is, whatever love you give out will always come back to you. It just may not be the same people. So just because you're doing for one doesn't mean it's going to be that person that gives back. It's going to be somebody else somewhere down the road, when you least expect it. Diesel. And then the other one he said is, quality time together is the gift. So, say it all the time with my sisters, and even, just friends who are like family. Like, we need to get together more. We need to do things and make those memories. And we all get caught up and we get comfortable with, once you get in the house and you sit on that couch, you're like, I'm done. I don't want to do anything. And I'm just as guilty of it too. But gosh, guys, life is short. So make those memories, with those you love. And, another thing to throw out there, it's never too late to forgive and move forward too. So again, another battle of myself, within myself that I have. But you know, what I share is because I'm going through the same thing. So anyway, that's about all I have for today. I know it wasn't a whole lot of anything, but I think my goal right now, unless I end up having guests, which will happen, I know, I think that whatever I learn throughout the week, of whatever books I'm listening to or podcasts that I'm listening to that you may not, will encourage you to come back to Talk It Out, and I can share what I've learned through that. So I do hope that this helps in some way or another. It helps me. So, you know, whether anybody's listening or not, it helps me to just talk it out, which is what I'm doing. So again, let's end it on the lovely thing that Matt Brown says all the time as a reminder to everybody: you go nowhere by coincidence or accident. Where you are going, God is sending you, and where you are, He has placed you. God has a purpose for your life right where you are. And Christ Jesus, who indwells you, has something that He wants to do in and through your life right where you are. So believe this and go in His love and in His grace and in His power. And then, like I always say, remember, guys, invest in yourself. And let's make today a good day. Have a good one, guys. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.